A man in London spends $4 a day on coffee he could make at home for 20 cents. That's not the story. The story is what happens to the other $3.80 because it doesn't disappear. It gets multiplied, tracked, and sold back to him 100 different ways for the rest of his life. You've been taught the big purchases are what ruin people financially: a car, a house, a wedding. But there's a much quieter force draining bank accounts across the world right now, and it's disguised as something good. It's disguised as ease, as comfort, as you deserve this. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how convenience has been engineered, not accidentally, but deliberately, to separate you from your money without you ever noticing the moment it happened. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it in your own bank statement. Here's what's at stake. The average person in the US, UK, Canada, or Australia today spends more on convenience than their grandparents spent on rent, food delivery, subscription boxes, one-click checkout, auto-renewals, ride shares instead of buses. None of these feel like financial decisions. They feel like small, harmless comforts. But comfort has a price tag, and that price tag compounds. There's one specific psychological trick embedded in almost every convenience purchase you make, a trick borrowed from casino design, and once I show it to you, you'll start noticing it everywhere. But we need to build up to that, because the full picture only makes sense once you see how deep this goes. Let's start with something simple: food delivery apps. In 2010, if you wanted dinner delivered, you called a restaurant, waited 45 minutes, and paid in cash at the door. Today, you open an app, tap twice, and food appears. It feels almost free because the friction is gone. But strip away the convenience and look at the real math. A burger that costs $9 at the restaurant becomes $18 once you add delivery fees, service fees, and the tip that the app quietly suggests for you. That's not a coincidence. That's design. The suggested tip amount isn't calculated from your bill, it's calculated from what you're statistically likely to accept without questioning it. Now here's the part that should genuinely alarm you. Researchers studying spending behavior found that people underestimate how much they spend on delivery apps by nearly 60%. Not 20%, 60%. That means if you think you're spending $200 a month on convenience food, you're probably spending closer to $320. Multiply that gap over a year, and it's over $1,400 that vanished from a mental blind spot. Not from a big decision, from dozens of tiny ones that never felt real. And that word "felt" is the key to everything. Because here's the mechanism. Every convenience product on earth is designed around one single goal: removing the moment where your brain says, "Wait, do I actually need this?" That moment is called friction, and friction is the enemy of every company selling you ease. Cash creates friction. You feel the weight of bills leaving your hand. Credit cards remove some of that friction. Saved payment information removes almost all of it. One-click ordering removes the last trace. By the time you're tapping a button on your phone, your brain isn't processing a financial decision anymore. It's processing a reflex. This is the same design principle used in slot machines. Casinos removed coins decades ago and replaced them with credit swipes. For one reason, physical money creates psychological resistance, and resistance is bad for revenue. Every convenience company since has copied that exact playbook, just with better branding. Now let's talk about subscriptions, because this is where the trap gets even sharper. The average adult in the US now pays for 12 different subscription services: streaming platforms, fitness apps, cloud storage, meal kits, software tools they signed up for once and forgot about. Individually, each one costs less than a sandwich. Collectively, they cost more than most people's electricity bill. But here's the twist nobody talks about. Subscription companies don't actually want you to use their product. They want you to forget about it. A major streaming service once revealed internally that a significant percentage of its subscribers hadn't logged in for over 60 days, but were still being charged monthly. That's not a failure of their business model. That is the business model. The entire subscription economy is optimized around a psychological blind spot called subscription inertia, the tendency for humans to notice new expenses far more than they notice ongoing ones. You feel a new $15 charge instantly. You stop noticing that same $15 charge after about the third month. Your brain files it under fixed cost and stops evaluating whether it's worth it. Companies know this. They're not just selling convenience, they're selling forgetfulness. And forgetfulness, multiplied by 12 subscriptions, multiplied by 12 months, adds up to real money most people never account for when they wonder where their paycheck went. But subscriptions and delivery apps are just the visible layer. Underneath them is something bigger, a difference in how wealthy people and middle-class people relate to convenience itself. And this is where the psychology gets uncomfortable. Middle-class convenience spending is usually reactive. It happens because someone is tired, stressed, or short on time, and the purchase feels like relief. A rideshare after a long shift. Takeout after a hard day. A quick subscription upgrade because cancelling feels like effort. Each purchase solves an immediate emotional problem but creates a long-term financial one. Wealthy convenience spending works differently. It's proactive and calculated. A wealthy person might pay for a service specifically because it frees up hours that get reinvested into higher value work or rest that improves decision making. The convenience is treated as an investment with a measurable return, not an emotional escape. Same word convenience, completely different function. One drains resources, the other multiplies them. And most people have never been taught to tell the difference because nobody profits from teaching you that difference. Every company benefits from you treating convenience as an emotional purchase instead of a financial one. Here's where it gets even more personal. Let's talk about the true cost of just this once. A single unplanned $20 convenience purchase feels harmless. It is harmless in isolation, but financial behavior isn't isolated, it's patterned. Behavioral economists have found that convenience purchases cluster. One easy decision lowers your resistance to the next one. This is called decision fatigue, and it's the invisible force behind almost every small purchase spiral. By the time you've made your fifth easy decision of the day, a coffee, a ride, a delivery, a subscription upgrade, a buy now, pay later, click, your brain has run out of willpower to say no to the sixth. This is why people who feel financially disciplined in the morning often end their day having spent money they didn't plan to spend. It's not a character flaw. It's a biological pattern that companies have studied for years and built entire user experiences around. Now, remember that casino comparison from earlier? Here's the full picture. Casinos don't make their real money from big gamblers. They make it from thousands of small, low-friction bets repeated constantly, engineered to feel too small to matter. The convenience economy runs on the exact same principle. No single delivery order, subscription, or tap-to-pay purchase is designed to bankrupt you. It's designed to feel too small to resist and too small to track. That's the hidden trap, not one expense. Thousands of expenses engineered to feel invisible. And this is why traditional budgeting advice so often fails people. Budgeting apps tell you to track your spending, but convenience spending is specifically designed to avoid being tracked in your memory. You can look at a bank statement and still not feel where the money went, because none of these purchases registered emotionally as financial decisions in the first place. So what actually works? The answer isn't to eliminate convenience. That's unrealistic, and honestly, some convenience is genuinely worth paying for. The answer is to reintroduce just enough friction that your brain re-engages before you spend. People who successfully break this pattern do one simple thing differently. Before any convenience purchase, they ask a single question out loud or in their head. Would I still do this if I had to pay in cash in person? That question alone reintroduces the friction that companies spent years engineering out of the process. It doesn't stop convenience spending completely, but it interrupts the reflex long enough for conscious choice to return. The second thing is auditing subscriptions every 90 days, not because you'll always cancel something, but because the act of reviewing forces your brain out of the forgetfulness zone these companies rely on. The third, and most important, is separating reactive convenience from proactive convenience. Ask what problem this purchase is actually solving. If the honest answer is, I'm tired, that's useful information. It doesn't mean don't buy it. It means notice that you're about to spend money to manage an emotion, not a need, and that awareness alone changes the pattern over time. So here's the truth this video promised you. Convenience isn't secretly bankrupting you because you're careless. It's happening because an entire global industry spent the last 2 decades engineering the exact moment where your brain stops asking questions and replaced it with a single, frictionless tap. The people getting wealthy from convenience aren't the ones using it emotionally. They're the ones who understood early that convenience is a tool, not a comfort, and tools only work in your favor when you're the one controlling them. The scary part isn't the $4 coffee or the $18 burger. It's the thousands of invisible decisions stacked behind them, quietly shaping a financial future most people never consciously chose. But now you see it, and the moment you see the mechanism, you take back the one thing every convenience company was counting on, you never noticing your attention. So here's a question worth sitting with. Think about the last thing you bought without even thinking about it. What emotion were you actually trying to solve, and was money really the answer?